Joining me is Carmi Levy, CTV's tech analyst. Hey, Carmi, maybe you can give the people a laugh so you can take one of them off my plate. How about that?
I'll do my best. I mean, my kids think I'm hilarious, but I don't know how that plays out on the air. Let's see how it plays out.
It's a kid's job to think their dad is hilarious, right?
It is, although I'm not sure if they're laughing with me or at me. I think it's the latter. But as long as they find me amusing, then I am doing my job as a dad.
My sisters and I thought my dad was so funny. We literally signed him up for a stand-up comedy class for Father's Day one year. And it ended up being the best thing ever because this was like 10 years ago. My dad does stand-up all the time, which is amazing.
Oh, my God. Well, next time I'm in town, I'm going to see him.
Awesome. Okay, Carmi, the biggest tech conference basically of the year, is it CES or do we call it like CES 2026? Does that have a cool name?
Yeah, I mean, its official title used to be known as the Consumer Electronics Show, but everyone just calls it CES. It is pretty much the last major tech conference standing. All the big ones have largely sort of stopped in recent years because you can pretty much find out anything you want about products on the internet. You don't have to schlep yourself to Las Vegas, but CES continues to survive and thrive. 142,000 people attended last year. They're expecting similar numbers this year. 2.5 million square feet, 4,500 exhibitors, 6,500 media from around the world. I mean, basically, it's a who's who of tech, and it's for years, and this is like 40 years now, where it has literally been kind of almost like the Pied Piper of the tech industry. If you want to know where tech is headed over the next 12 or so months, CES kind of sets the tone at the beginning of the year, and then everything sort of follows afterward.
I bet it's partially because it's in Vegas, Carmi. If this was in like, I don't know, Phoenix, I don't know that it would be as popular every year.
Yeah, no question. I think Vegas just sort of makes it an absolute magnet. Yeah. There's something to be said for, not, viewing these things through a browser, but actually getting there, meeting the executives, having conversations on the show floor. That's really what it's all about. A lot of the major keynotes, these are the things that we're watching for as an analyst. That's what, that's my value, is, what does, for example, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, what's he going to be saying about the chips that his company is going to be releasing? What kind of technology are we going to see? What are the hottest things in screens or artificial intelligence or robotics or smart home technology? So all of the senior leaders are there basically laying out their vision and trying to get us to basically buy into what they're selling. Because at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about, is here are a whole bunch of hot new products and technologies. This is what we want you to buy in the year to come. Doesn't always work out that way, but they're certainly going to give it their best.
For sure. I was thinking specifically what came to mind just now was the folding phone. They called it I was like, it's a flip phone, guys. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just, I don't know. I was not a fan of the folding phone. And I don't think I've seen anyone with one of these out in real life. Like, everybody still has either their Google Pixel or their iPhone.
Yeah, and this is a technology like Samsung. I think they're into their 7th generation of folding phones now, and they've been on the market for a few years, but there's still issues with them, right? They're still really expensive. The spot where they fold, it has a certain lifespan, and as the device gets older, it starts to fail. And so this is one of the reasons why you can't buy a folding iPhone, because Apple tends to wait for the rest of the industry to make their mistakes before it moves in. And there are growing rumors that Apple will be introducing its own folding phone this year. Yeah, but of course Apple is saying nothing, and we're still waiting. It will cut. If it is introduced, it'll carry a fantastically high price. There will be a bunch of foldables on display here at CES. We're expecting new versions from Samsung and LG and Motorola. But I'm with you. It adds additional complexity. It's one more thing to do when you pull it out of your pocket. And quite frankly, if I'm going to be spending money on a smartphone, it's not going to be on the folding mechanism. It's going to be on the camera and all the other capabilities. I don't necessarily need it to fold.
Oh yeah, the camera is where it's at for me. So I've got a podcast studio, Carmi, and I'm outfitted with like 3 4K cameras in my studio. And honestly, my phone can capture similar quality video as I can capture in my studio, which is remarkable that you have all that power in your pocket.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing pretty much every major smartphone vendor, except for Apple. Apple has not attended CES in decades. They do their own announcements. They don't go to any show. But we are going to be seeing, sort of, and not only new smartphones with better cameras, better processors, but also announcements on what the chips and the technologies that are driving them. So the companies that make the underlying technology, so Qualcomm, Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, they're going to be making announcements as well, which should give us an indication of how powerful the next smartphone that we buy is going to be, and will that camera be better than the one that we already have in our pocket? I'm willing to bet it will be, and I'm right there with you. Sometimes I look at my digital camera, my Nikon, and I'm thinking, the phone that I have in my pocket now has an almost as good camera as the camera that I spent thousands of dollars on. Crazy that we've gotten here in technology, and a lot of those announcements were made first at CES.
You know what I want? This is a little off topic, but I want my front camera to be as good quality as my back camera. Like, it's crazy how much better. Like, I want to be able to see myself when I'm filming stuff and not have to turn my camera around and buy like a secondary monitor or something. Like, can we fix the front cam issue? That's my request from Apple. Next time you're speaking to, the head of Apple, can you ask them to work on their front camera, Carmi?
I absolutely will. Apple has actually a really great office for their Canadian operations out of Toronto. These are folks that I know fairly well. They often invite me to briefings, and so I've raised this with them in the past because I walk in and they're like, "Oh, we know that you're a photographer, so we know you're going to talk about cameras." I keep asking. I don't get the answer that I want, but I'm going to keep at it because I'm right there with you. I realize they probably put a lower resolution front camera on as a way of saving money. They put all their resources into the rear-facing one. But, let's face it, for folks who do this every day, and you are one of them, that would be a huge benefit. I'll keep asking for you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. This story I thought was interesting. So OpenAI, which are the folks that own and operate ChatGPT, they're hiring a new head of preparedness to try to predict and mitigate AI's harms. Carmi, I don't know that I trust AI to predict and mitigate AI harms.
Yeah, there's a good reason foxes don't guard hen houses and that we don't trust them when they say they will. And I think this is a perfect example of that. Basically, they're saying this role, which they'll be paid about $555,000 US a year. So a pretty high level senior role. They're responsible for making sure that OpenAI's tools don't behave in a bad manner, don't impact the users, and for example, drive them to suicide, which they are being sued by in multiple courts in the U.S. now over this wrongful death lawsuits. Basically, identify where the technology goes off the rails and prioritize putting guardrails in place. But we've heard this before. A couple of years ago, they also had a job listing for the head of preparedness. They hired someone. That person left. They brought in two people to replace them. Those two people left as well.
Oh boy.
And so I've been there. I've bought this T-shirt before, and quite frankly, listening to OpenAI, it isn't something that I would trust them with. You can't rely on the industry to police itself to keep us safe when we use AI tools like chatbots, and this is just another example of why it doesn't work.
Yeah, high turnover is usually a sign that something is amiss, right?
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, the more protections you put in place to prevent this kind of off the rails behavior, the harder it is for it to have what we call engagement. So OpenAI is all about growing, keeping you using the tool as often as possible, maximizing revenue. They don't want to use these technologies to maximize preparedness or protections, because that goes against the profit motive. So they speak out of both sides of their mouth, and I don't believe either of them.
All right. Well, I'm with you, Carmi. Carmi Levy, CTV tech analyst, and my official spokesperson with Apple. Appreciate it, Carmi. Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year, Robyn. So great speaking with you. Thanks for having me.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Got my first real six-string.
Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock? Kids wanna rock.